What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Modern Mortgage Show, where I interview mortgage professionals who share their stories and modern information about the industry. I'm your host, Rocco, and my guest for this episode is Jerry Wright, and he's a loan officer at Dwell Mortgage out of Everett, Washington. Jerry, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Rocco. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. I appreciate you coming on today. So why don't we start off the show? Can you just give us a brief introduction of who you are and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Like you said, obviously, I'm a loan officer over here at Dwell. I've been in the business since 2001, so about 19 years. Before that, I was give you a little life story here. I was a firefighter out of the city of Linwood, full-time, total adrenaline to a desk jockey. It changed around, because anyways, I got custody of my daughters and stuff like that, so I couldn't be gone 24 hours again. So I owned a home inspection company for, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years, something like that. And then I was teaching a class, and this guy says, hey, you do well at public speaking. Maybe you should think about becoming a loan officer. You can make a lot more money. And I'm thinking, crawl underneath houses with rats and bees and all that stuff up in attics, or sit at a desk and be a loan officer, make good money. So I actually decided to do that, and it's been nonstop ever since.
Yeah, so it sounds like you did a lot before you got into the industry. So what was it that really made you, stick and decide and really make that decision to transition into the mortgage industry? Was it the money or, like you said, the desk job? What was it?
I think it's actually the ability to freedom. So I was actually a select softball coach for both of my daughters, combined for about 16 years. And the ability to not be a 9-to-5 type job where I could go out and I can actually spend time with my kids, be on the fields with them, travel for tournaments, and just that family time was what really, I really value that.
Yep, absolutely. I definitely hear you on that. So moving along, as a loan officer, we're in an uncertain period of time right now. How have you adapted, and what are you doing to get past this period of time?
Yeah, there's been this is an interesting time. So I think first off, you got to stay educated. Okay, so this thing called MBS Highway, Barry Hubby, kind of, you might have heard of him. He's kind of an amazing dude, and so you got to keep up with that. Read a lot, listen to morning podcasts, keep your thumb on the pulse of the industry. That's number one. You have to use technology. We use a mortgage coach around here, which is another tech. I'm not trying to push these guys, but you have to be able to do that and bomb videos or some sort of video to communicate with your clients. You're no longer inviting them into your office to sit down one-on-one. So you have to, they have to know you. And so you have to send out a video like this so that people get to know you and communicate with you. Because then they get to trust you, they get to see you, they get to hopefully like you. And once you build that trust and that like and all that kind of stuff, then you can actually do business together.
Yeah, 100%. So you've been a loan officer for about 19 years now, you said?
Yeah.
I'm sure you've seen a lot. So with what you're seeing right now in the industry, what do you see happening in the future?
Wow, that's a good crystal ball. I think especially in the Seattle market. So my office is about half hour to 45 minutes because there's no traffic north of Seattle. Yeah. We are pretty much in a good bubble here because we have a lot of tech industries around here. You might have heard of like Microsoft, Intel. We got a lot of stuff. We have a lot of also pharmaceutical companies and that type of industry around us. So housing is really, it's a shortfall here, pretty much like it is everywhere, but it's really short here. And so I don't see it slowing down at all past 3 months from now, because right now, one of the problems we're seeing is people being furloughed and that kind of stuff. And if you go to do your refinance or your purchase right at the end now, most of your lenders are calling the day of funding to make sure you haven't been furloughed. So if you are being furloughed, then they're just postponing your loan. So it's not going to close on time. But going forward, I think this is an amazing market to be in. I think right now, if you don't have a CRM that's communicate with your clients and giving them a good, almost like a value of their home, telling them what they could do, what they can't do, all that kind of stuff, and communicating with them big time, then you're losing out. And
Yeah.
if you're not doing that now, when the market does come back to a purchase type market where people want to come in and see face to face, if you're not doing something now, you're losing out in the future, in my opinion.
Yeah, and we'll touch more on that later on in the episode in terms of technology and stuff like that. But moving along here, you've been in the industry for a long time. I'm sure you've helped many, many people. What would you say is the most satisfying, rewarding thing about your job as a loan officer?
I think right now, and it was different, when I first started in the industry. When I started in the industry, it was making money. It was good.
Yeah.
Now, I actually think it's helping people.
Mm-hmm.
Last month, I closed a loan. This is one of my favorite stories, probably of at least of 2020, if not for the last couple of years. But these guys, they wanted to refinance and do a little bit of debt consolidation and pull a little bit of money out for different things. It doesn't really matter. But they have a 14-year-old daughter. Okay. And that's what touched my heart pretty much here, because I raised two daughters through those years, and I know how expensive it's going to be for that kid for the next couple of years. And so I did a debt consolidation loan for these guys and refinanced them and saved that family, after they paid everything out and pulled their money out, $1,100 a month. That's life-changing for a lot of people. And that's what makes you feel good. And you just feel good at night. You come home and you're like, you just smile to yourself. You look in the mirror and you're like, I really helped some family out. Amazing. It's just amazing.
Definitely. This is my 32nd episode now. So I've talked to a lot of loan officers. It seems like many of them got into the industry because of the money, but now what they've learned is that helping people is important because the money comes with it.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think, money was really important. My wife and I are now empty nesters. Our last kid's in his last year of college. And so we actually sold and downsized to a little puny, tiny home and stuff like that. And for a couple months until we find another home. And
Yeah.
we don't need the money that we needed when we had all the kids and all the select sports and traveling around the country and all that kind of stuff. So it's fun just to be able to help people.
Absolutely. So shifting gears here, when you first got your start in the industry, you had, many other jobs. Transitioning into the mortgage industry, did you have any struggles or obstacles that you'd faced early on in your journey?
Huge. So I'll let you know, this first company that hired me, anyways, a small little company. What they did is they brought me in, they sat me down in the lunchroom. They had a form, it's called a good faith estimate back then. And they showed me how to handwrite in my fees. And they said, now go get a loan. And that was my whole training. No kidding. Probably 15 to 20 minutes on handwriting a GFE and going out and doing it. Now, obviously, I did years later, all of a sudden you got TRID and all that kind of stuff, Dodd-Frank, all that kind of stuff. Now, you cannot just be somebody who does this part-time. You have to get in there. You have to know it. You have to learn it. You got to know your regulations. You can't take 15 minutes of training and pretend you can go make a living. And that's the big transition, that I think we're seeing now, is you really have to dive into your SOP, your all regs or guidelines, and know what you're doing.
Yeah, 100%. And like you were saying, your struggle. So would you say that technology and experience was what fixed that for you?
I would definitely say that, and moving from a little mom and pop shop to a more national company when I moved over to the second company I was at, because now all of a sudden, you have a national training site. You had ability to go online and look up regulations, and I hate to say it, but be held compliant. And that actually helped us all out a lot, because now everybody's on the same playing field.
Yeah, I see. Awesome. So let's say that you were talking to yourself 19 years ago, you were talking to your younger self when you got into the industry. What advice or tips would you give to yourself when you were just starting out?
I would say probably go to work a little earlier in the morning so that you can start reading and watching the podcasts, watching like NBS Highway, the morning updates, getting there, getting prepared for your day before everybody else is starting theirs. because if you've already spent an hour or two preparing for your day when everybody else is just waking up, you're that much in front of them.
Interesting. So to a loan officer that's just starting out, you would say to, get in the office early, educate yourself before you start the day?
Most definitely. Yeah, I don't think you can overeducate yourself at all. And even if you don't want to go out there forecasting and tell everybody, oh, it's going to do this, rates are going to be at 1%. But you need to know what the difference between a mortgage-backed security is, a 10-year note, what a Fed rate is. And if you can't explain those type of things, the next loan officer down the road, I'm going to make you look like you don't know what you're doing. And now you've just lost the trust of your client because you talked to me or somebody like me.
Absolutely. So in recent years, technology has made its way into the industry and it's revolutionized it. So we were kind of touching on this earlier. How would you say this has affected you and your business?
Well, I think 6 months ago, 4 months ago, we used to go out and call up a real estate agent and say, hey, you want to come go to lunch? You want to get a cup of coffee and stuff like that? Can't do that anymore. So now what you have to have is some sort of technology where you can do a Zoom call, something called a Ring meeting, Ring Central, stuff like this type of thing where you can meet remotely. And because if you're not talking to if the loan officers are not talking to their agents right now, you can't just automatically start up in 3 or 4 months. They're going to remember the loan officers who've been educating them throughout this whole process. And so you should be doing agent trainings, which we do the first Tuesday of every month. We have this thing called Agent University. So we train agents every month. And also Facebook. All your loan officers out there, this is a great time to start a private group. And in your private group, invite those agents in there that you want to work with, that you are working with and all that kind of stuff, and have them post things that are helping them in their business during this time. What are they doing different? And you post, of course, as the industry expert, you post your mortgage stuff in there. So it's agents helping agents. And it's an amazing tool. My private Facebook group has quite a few people in it. And it's funny how somebody will post in there about something and another agent will comment, I never thought about that. One of my agents actually drives around with his cell phone before he'll show a house, and he'll drive down the road on FaceTime or one of the other apps, and he films the driving into the house so that people realize if there's a trailer park right next door that it's a trash zone and they don't want to move there. And so he'll film that. He'll walk through the house because we got a rule up here in Washington that only one person plus an agent can be in a house at any given time. So if you have a husband and wife, you have to actually make 2 trips through the house.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty strict. And but Chris, when he went through the very first time he did I gave him the idea a month or so ago about driving up to the house with the phone and recording it. These people wanted to see 6 houses. They ruled 4 of them out right away. So now he's not taking another time dragging that family and toting them around, showing them stuff. He's using his technologies. So training, private Facebook groups, and just doubling down on your investment. Right now, you need to be advertising, print advertising. My goodness, there's never been a better time to print advertise than right now because everybody's at home. They're actually reading their mail. So it's an interesting time.
So in other words, just add a ton of value and provide a ton of value.
Exactly.
So can you expand on the Agent University? Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, what it is Dwell Mortgage, and they came up with this idea of once a month we started in January before this whole thing started, and we were renting different venues over around the Everett area, and we invite agents to come down to it. And we also have other locations other than Everett, so those people there would Zoom call into the training also. But it'd be different stuff. One time it was Instagram, how to use Instagram for your business. This is strictly for real estate agents, how to use Instagram for your business. Another time was how to create Facebook groups and that type stuff. We had Barry Habib come on this month in April, and he gave a market update. And this is free training. And so you get a guy like Barry Habib who gets paid bucks to go out and talk, and we had him on for 45 minutes for free, giving these agents kind of a feel for the pulse of the market. And we do this. So this is the first time we actually did it 100% online. So you invited all the agents. We had some agents actually went into their office and they streamed it with big groups. But we had over 100 agents Zoom into this call and sit there and get the training. And it's something that's going to set you apart, is just training people and keeping them educated.
So is that a group called Agent U?
Agent U, yes.
To be honest, I think I'm in that group.
That's funny.
Yeah. So other than groups and those trainings, are there any modern strategies that you're using or taking advantage of that's helping you to scale production, maintain better relationships with your clients, or just systemize and organize your business? I know you said a CRM.
Yeah, CRM. So we have a couple different ones. I'll talk about one thing called HomeBot, which gives you your clients go into this this program, and they basically get a CMA every single month. And I invite my agents to put their database in there also, but they get a CMA every month. So you're providing them something, not just here's a home recipe, or here's what's happening in our county's called Snohomish County. Mm-hmm. So here's what's happening in Snohomish County. This is actually what's happening on your address, what's happening with your home. And they can go in there and they can tweak it. They say, I remodeled a kitchen. I added a garage, whatever they're going to do. They can go in there and tweak it, which is going to tweak their value. So you're providing those guys with a huge item of value every month by doing that. Okay. The other thing I think that a lot of us over here at Dwell do, and a lot of my other lender friends do, is we use Mortgage Coach. And not only do you a Mortgage Coach and a presentation, we use a program called BombBomb, which is a video servicing software. And I can record a video right inside my Outlook, and I sit there and I point and touch and I talk to them, the clients, right about different options. I went out last week and I actually did one that I talked about a 15, a 20, a 25, and a 30, put all the programs up there and showed this person what their advantages are for doing each one. And somebody who's just out giving a loan estimate isn't doing that. So big banks aren't doing that. So it sets you aside. And one of the clients in fact, she just funded last week. She's already sent me 3 of her friends, and that's within 30 days of, talking to her. That's pretty incredible.
Very, very powerful. So what is your, if you have one, a long-term strategy when it comes to all this? Just keep providing value, keep posting in the groups, keep doing those agent trainings and send out videos.
Yeah. And I think you sit on the shirt tails, I think that's how you put it, of somebody smarter than you. So Shane, who owns this company, he is a millennial. He's a technology, just a nerd. And I love it because I don't even know what he's doing. He says, hey, Jerry, do this. This is powerful. This is powerful. And you jump on that and you stay on top of the technologies. He has way too many for me, but you cannot do what you're doing right now 5 years ago or 10 years ago. If you're doing what you did 10 years ago now, you're being swept under the car. You're being pushed by. So you have to stay up on the technologies.
You definitely have to adapt to the new technology. Where do you see all of this going in the future in terms of technology in the mortgage industry specifically?
I actually think so Dwell was set up a little bit differently than any company I've been at before. They actually gave every staff member a laptop, a docking station, and 2 screens. This is before this whole thing even started. And all of our staff, when it was time to go work from home, they went home without us. It was seamless. Yeah. And so all the staff members are all working from home mostly, and we don't even know it. And you can't really tell it. Our business has not changed 1 ounce, other than title companies and appraisals. Those are something different you can't control. But I think companies are actually going to cut back on office space, on some of that hardware. You don't need a desk sitting in an office anywhere, and all that kind of stuff. I think you're going to see more people working remotely.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think just from this experience, people are going to realize that it's, not as much of a pain to work remotely, and it could be more effective. You can get more done, and obviously lowers overhead. So it might not be a terrible option.
Yeah, and I don't even think that's just for the mortgage industry either. I think you're going to see multiple agencies doing that. I'm doing well, it's over now. I closed today, but I did a refinance, and both husband and wife are both working remotely from their house, and they're analysts and supervisors, but they don't have to go to the office.
Yeah.
And so why now, if you don't have to bring those people to the office, you could perhaps either short down your office space, or you have 2 more employees coming into that space, so you can grow and adapt.
Absolutely. I that's interesting. So who do you work with primarily? Is it first time buyers? Who do you work with primarily? Is it anybody?
I used to really target first time buyers and that type of stuff, because I used to that's just who I thought my marketplace was, because I really didn't have an effect. No, I'm going back 10, 15 years, because I really didn't have a good way to keep in touch with my move up buyers and my other clients, even jumbos and people downsizing and all that stuff. But now that our CRMs are in place, I work more probably with either move up or move down buyers. Maybe somebody had an extra child and they need a bigger house, or they're like us and the kids just went away to college, now need to be downsized. So I'm working with more of the subsequent buyers rather than the first time. But also, my daughters are 28 and 24, and I'm doing loans for their friends. So that's really fun. So all the kids they played softball with and went to school with and that kind of stuff, it's fun getting them into their first house and getting them all excited and teaching them how to use credit, how to, make a budget, that type of stuff. So I kind of I'm kind of all over the place. I enjoy it all.
Okay. So if we go to the buyer side here for the last question, just in general, what do you see as a big misconception or fear that clients have before working with you in regards to getting a loan?
A couple there. First off, a lot of them think you need a huge down payment, 20% down and stuff like that. And they don't know, they've never even heard of what mortgage insurance is or something like that. They don't know that you can, put down 5%, or if you have a really great credit, that you can actually buy out that mortgage insurance for just a couple points. So maybe you're paying 7.5% down with no mortgage insurance because you got that great credit, and nobody knows they didn't know you could do that. And also they think, because listening to people out there, that if you don't have any credit cards or any car loans, that everything's going to be fine. You're going to have this great credit score. And they don't know how the credit bureaus work, where you got to keep that small balance on your credit card every month so the bureau could see that you're utilizing it, and that builds your scores.
Yeah.
So utilizing credit and down payment, I think, is I'm going to put those as the 2 most important thing, I think, for buyers.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'd say down payment, just from talking with many loan officers, down payment and credit. And I think it's, a lot of people are misinformed, or not even misinformed, just, they just don't know. And that really is important, to find a loan officer who advises you and educates you throughout the entire process.
Yep.
Well, Jerry, I really want to thank you so much for coming on the show today. I had an amazing time speaking with you, and I really, really appreciate your time.
Yeah. Thank you, Rocco, for having me on. And hopefully this helps somebody out there.
Absolutely. And thank you to all the viewers for watching, and we'll see you again next episode.